Holiday cheer and generosity is in the air with this week's forecast, but so is a dash of delusion. Hi, my name is Haley Comet. Welcome to your Magic Monday Astrology Horoscope, and welcome to my Cosmic Corner of the Internet. So happy to have you here. Today we are discussing the astrology from December 16th to December 22nd, 2024. I am your host, Haley Comet. Here to guide you through what you can expect from this week's energies, but how it is that you can also work with this week's energies, utilizing astrology as a tool in order to live your most empowered and your most aligned lives. So if that feels like something that resonates with you, something that aligns with you, we would so love to see you in the Cosmic Corner more often. And if this is part of your routine, hello, welcome back. It is just another Magic Monday. So let's discuss the ingredients within the recipe of this week's astrology. Firstly, we've got a heaping serving of Neptune involved in your forecast, because midweek we have the Sagittarius Sun squaring Neptune. And this could lead you to feel a little bit more sluggish, a bit more lethargic, a bit more sensitive. And if you've already been in that energy, Neptune was involved in the Gemini full moon that we had over the weekend. By the way, how was that for you all? Let me know below. And so you could already be feeling tapped into these Neptune energies, which can sometimes just make us a little bit more escapist, a little bit more dreamy, a little bit more delulu. Let's just say it. Now, the higher vibration of what I want you to reach for with this Neptune energy is that this can be a more serene energy, a sensitive energy, a compassionate energy. And when we think that Neptune is squaring the Sun, yes, this can lead to some energies of confusion. Who am I? What am I doing with my life? Type energy. But it also could be this energy around really softening the boundaries of our ego. Because Sun ultimately is around ego. And with Sun square Neptune, it's this return back to soul, return back to self and the truth, Sagittarius Sun, of who it is that you are, and kind of washing away any protective measures that we have in place. That's really our ego just wanting to feel right or wanting to feel superior. So when we view from that lens, this can be a week of forgiveness. This can be a week of spiritual enlightenment. This can be a week of inspiration. You know, Neptune is muse energy. And I think sometimes when you are someone who is creative or you are an artist, there is a certain energy around getting out of your own way in order to let the inspiration flow through you. And sometimes it's letting go of that ego attachment to needing to be perceived in a certain way or needing to have control of the creation. There's this energy around just letting it flow, letting it go and letting it flow with the Neptune part of this week's recipe. We also have some Venus and some Jupiter energy this week, which we deserve, okay? We deserve this. We have been fighting through these retrogrades. And the cosmos said you can have a Venus trine Jupiter aspect as a treat. Because these are the two benefics in astrology. These are two planets that are beneficial energies, and they are flirting in the cosmos. They're making a trine, which indicates this energy of ease. Of course, Jupiter is not in a position that it is dignified within, so we needed to give a little oomph to the Venus trine Jupiter flavor in our recipe in order to really taste it or feel it within our lives, but it's there. And what this does, Venus is around money, Venus is around love, pleasure, sweetness, and Jupiter expands these arenas. So you could be seeing more beauty around you. You could be really indulging in delicious food this week. You could be really decorating things pretty, or at least enjoying the decorations that you've decorated your home in, or going out to look at, Christmas lights, or just tuning into the sweetness and the beauty that is around you, as well as within you. Because with the energy of Venus trine Jupiter, I would say we tend to be a little bit more romanced by life, or at least tuning in and spotlighting what we are charmed by within this experience. This can most certainly be love and relationships, especially with this trine occurring in air signs, which has a lot to do with connection. So a lot of individuals could be getting together with friends this week. You could be more romantic this week. You could have a great date night. You could be getting people together and really enjoying your time. perhaps a little too much, because like I said, we have that Neptune energy, which sometimes can lead to some overdoing or blurring the boundaries around, you know, how many appetizers at dinner was ordering too many appetizers, how many glasses of wine was too many glasses of wine. Neptune can kind of blur the boundaries there, but there does feel to be an energy where we're wanting to get lost into something beautiful. And those are really the moments that make this experience worth living, is those moments that you are just soaking in the presence of good company, the indulgence of, you know, delicious foods, or the appreciation of the beauty that is around you. And then at the end of the recipe, or at the end of the week, we have a dash of Capricorn energy entering the recipe as the sun enters Capricorn, kicking off Capricorn season. And I like to think of the transition of seasons from Scorpio season as a time we go deep. Sagittarius season is a time that we explore wide, and Capricorn season is a time that we build tall. It is an energy that is concerned around ascending to the heights of our abilities within this experience, really striving to do the best and be the best that we possibly can, to make use with our talents, with our resources, to build something sustainable and long-lasting, whatever your chosen aim may be. So the cosmos are cooking up something interesting with this recipe, and I will guide you through step by step everything that you need to know in order to make your week the most delightful and delicious possible. But before we do, take a step inside my cosmic cafe. Let me know what you are sipping on to start your week. I am drinking some mysterious Christmas beverage. I'm not sure. I have no idea what this is. An unnamed holiday special. I basically just said, can I have something iced and something seasonal in some regard? And this is what I was given. And it's honestly delightful. My mind isn't completely firing, but if I were to guess, I feel that it might be something peppermint, potentially like peppermint sugar cookie latte. I have no idea. It's delightful, hence why it's almost gone. And typically in Cosmic Cafe, we chit-chat, but today it's gonna be a vent sesh. So feel free to go ahead and jump to the vibe check if you're like, Haley Comet, I have my own retrograde stuff coming on. I do not need to hear about your retrogrades. But guys, you just have to laugh sometimes. Like, sometimes things are so ridiculous that you can't help but to giggle at them. And that has been my past couple of days. And to be fair, Mercury is now direct. That occurred over the weekend. You can get caught up on last week's Magic Monday above. I'll also link it below. So now we're just mainly rocking with Mars retrograde in terms of inner planets being retrograde, but the trials and tribulations that I've endured are very Mercury retrograde coded. If you watch Magic Monday, you know that I'm typically not so close. This feels very intimate. I feel a little exposed having you guys so close to me. You may also notice if you watch Magic Monday that this forecast is going up late. If it's even getting out into the world, I just want to say, if this is on youtube.com and you are watching this, a Christmas miracle has occurred, truly, because there has been so much that has occurred in the process of trying to film these videos. And before I get into this, I just want to say these are very much first world problems. Like, I am aware of that. I'm very grateful to have problems such as these, but I just kind of think it's funny. I just kind of think it's funny. It's a cosmic cafe and complaining sesh, okay? And if anybody else needs to vent in the comments, feel free. We can all cope together with these energies. So to set the scene, I have been extraordinarily busy as of late. I'm doing all sign 2025 forecasts here on the channel. You can get caught up on your sign if it's up in the playlist below. And if your sign's not up yet, it will go up within the month of December. And I'm having so much fun genuinely with the series. I love it so much, but it is a ton of work. A ton of work. And it's so interesting being an astrologer, because I think back to the Haley who decided that she was going to do the 12 Days of Cosmos again, even though Mars was retrograde in my 12th house, so I knew I was going to be drained, even though Mercury is retrograde, so I knew I was going to have some technical difficulties. Like, my astrologer brain knew that, but the Pisces, delusional, optimistic side of me won out. And I was like, I can do it. Can I? Can I really? Okay, I really shouldn't think that way. I'm doing it. I can do it. We got this. It'll get done. But I just say that just to say that it's been a lot of extra work on top of everything else that I'm typically doing. So I really need things to be going smoothly right now. And of course, things have been going anything but smooth. I've just been having so many technical difficulties. And when I went to film Magic Monday, I'm going to insert a clip here because I thought my outfit was so cute. I made a peppermint mocha. I was so ready to go. But then my microphone malfunctioned. So I was not able to utilize any of that footage. So I assumed that the microphone was malfunctioning because it needed a new battery. And if you have one of those lavalier microphones, it is such a pain to get the battery out. I was taking pens, I was taking like bobby pins to try to get the battery out. It was like stuck. It literally took an hour to get the battery out. And so I replaced the battery, plug it in, get set up, try again to do Magic Monday. And no, it's not that the battery was low, it's that the microphone was breaking. And I was already on a tight time crunch as I did have some people coming over. One of my best friends is in town. So I essentially was not able to film. And already I was just like so mentally fried and exhausted that I was like, are you kidding me? In a time that I just so need things to be going smoothly. And so thank goodness someone near and dear to me was Christmas shopping and picked me up another lavalier microphone at Best Buy. So sweet. But it's so funny because I didn't even think that this would be an issue, but it's so short. The cord is so short. I have to be this close. My other lavalier mic had quite a long cord, and I just kind of assumed that they would all be like that. So that's why we are so up close and personal, and that's why I have a new mic. And that's why it's truly a Christmas miracle if this video is on youtube.com. All things aside, what has gotten me through these small inconveniences, not a big deal whatsoever, is just laughing. Just sometimes life is funny, even just like the inconveniences around, just like really, you gotta giggle sometimes. We laugh so that we don't cry. And the good news is now Mercury is direct, but all of these shenanigans went down when Mercury was retrograde. So now we just have Mars retrograde to deal with, and we just have to get out of Mercury post-retrograde shadow. But I would love to know, how was that Mercury retrograde for you guys? That one was a tough one for me personally. I'm gonna stop whining now and I'm going to get into the astrology, but I just had to share with you guys because what a journey it has been to get Magic Monday done this week. So our next segment is Vibe Check of the Week. This is a segment in which we compare this week's astrology to a real life scenario. It is not me saying that this exact situation is going to play out within your world, although sometimes that does happen, but it's more so a metaphoric storytelling device in order to help you identify some of the real life implications and manifestations of these cosmic energies. It's essentially just a tool to bring these energies down to planet Earth by giving you a hypothetical scenario of one way that your week could go, or the dominant. So this week's astrology feels like the following situation, the following vibe check. We will say that you have a dear friend of yours named Katie, and she moved across the country. And so you guys are still, of course, close, but you don't get to see her very often. So when she comes into town, like she is this week, it is a joyous occasion, much to celebrate, right? Much to catch up on. And so you guys have had a night on the books planned for weeks just to make sure that the two of you could get together to fully catch up, because the time that you two get to spend together is so rare and so precious. And so you guys have your dinner reservations planned, and then you guys are going to go to a cocktail lounge that's next door, that's all decorated all Christmassy, and there's fun holiday drink specials, and there's just a joyousness and a spirit of celebration in the air. And that absolutely can be alive this week with Venus trine Jupiter. Like I said, sometimes you got to give it a little bit of oomph. Sometimes you got to create your own cheer, but it is there for the co-creation. And that's exactly the energy that you feel while you're out with Katie. Like, there's things happening in your life. You know, Mars is retrograde right now. I know I'm likely not the only person who had an interesting Mercury retrograde for sure. Like, there's a lot going on, but nothing's perfect. But in this particular evening, it's just a time in which you're so present, just connecting with this person, this soul who who you see and appreciate so very deeply. And there's just a spirit of excess. You know, why just try one holiday drink special when we could try 2 holiday drink specials? Why just get dinner when we can also get appetizers and dessert? Why just go to one cocktail lounge? Why don't we go to multiple? There's just this energy of excess within the air. And the thing about excess is that it does catch up to you. It does catch up to you, because that joyous spirit, just that energy of having the most fun night with Katie, just getting to catch up and just getting lost in an evening like this. When you wake up the next day, you are not feeling so hot. You're definitely feeling the effects of the spiked hot cocoa that you ordered at the end. You had no business ordering that, and you know that. And you probably didn't need the Rudolph martini either. Like, mistakes were made. Did you enjoy making those mistakes? Absolutely. Are you paying the price for those mistakes? Absolutely as well. And the next day you have to go back to real life, and you have responsibilities, and you have to work, but you have a pounding headache. You are exhausted. You are so drained. You cannot focus. But the thing about life is that it does not pause if we are having an off day, you know? It does not pause if we had a little bit too much fun with our friend Katie last night. It just keeps going now, doesn't it? So the reason why this is this week's vibe check is because, of course, we've got Venus trine Jupiter. Venus is in Aquarius, which is the sign of friendship. So a lot of you could be really taking the time to invest within your connections, within your community, whether that's, you know, going to a restaurant, going to a cocktail lounge. There's just this energy around really wanting to connect and working that muscle of connection, like prioritizing connection. So maybe it's not necessarily going out on the town. Maybe you're just carving time for nice FaceTime dates with those that you hold dear, or you are taking the time to voice memo your besties and catch them up on certain situations. There's just an energy to really invest within our friendships. Of course, this could also show up romantically as well, like really nourishing the friendship that you have within your partner. There could be some blossoming romance that's taking place at this time. And the Sun square Neptune energy was the energy alive around blurring the bounds of what may have been reasonable. A reasonable amount of, you know, drinks to consume, a reasonable amount of food to eat, a reasonable amount of things to order. Like maybe the sobering moment the next morning is when you check your credit card statement and you're like, we spent $200 at dinner. We paid for the people's next to us dinner as well. You know, that's the other nice part about this week, is that there's a very generous energy this week, which is so beautiful. This is a time to hone in on generosity, because obviously, you know, a lot of people are buying presents and things of that nature, and this week is helpful for that. And it feels like it's centered from this energy of love and appreciation and wanting to, you know, share our blessings. I would say with this happening around Sun square Neptune, you could find that you were not necessarily minding the bounds of how much you budgeted to spend at dinner, or how much you budgeted for holiday presents or things of that nature. You know, Sun, as I highlighted earlier, is around, you know, ego and identity. So with Sun square Neptune, you could be sacrificing yourself in a sense in order to give to others, or being quite selfless could be an energy here. So that could be alive within your experience around being like, okay, I could really use a spa day, but I am choosing to put that money towards this toy that my kid really wants, because to see them happy makes me happy. So there could be an energy of really like selfless generosity, and that doesn't always necessarily need to show up financially. It absolutely could. Some people could be very generous with their time, generous with their energy this week. It feels good to give, especially with Venus trine Jupiter. So we'll say, while it felt good to pay for the dinner of the people next to you and Katie, because you guys were just talking it up with them and you loved their energy, and you get very generous when you have a couple of drinks flowing through your system. So it felt good, certainly, to give, but you know, it's not feeling as good when you check the bank account the next morning and you're like, okay, you know, that did take a toll. I was not anticipating, doing all that. With the Neptune energy, there can absolutely be this energy of boundary blurring, whether it's showing up around our consumption of various things. You know, Neptune has to deal with anything that blurs the bounds of reality, right? So there could deeply be a desire to want to escape, whether it's to escape into a great night like this, escape into, you know, a bottle of wine, escape into romantic fantasy. Let's just say it. Sun square Neptune, Venus trine Jupiter. Some people's delulus are being fed this week, okay? Around the romantic scenarios that you are creating around your gym crush that you always lock eye contact with or something of that nature. And there can also just be this energy around what feels real, what feels fake. Like the energy of Neptune can also blur bounds there. Sometimes like Neptune creates this like otherworldly dissociated type feeling where on one hand it can feel very dreamy and dazzling, just kind of like escaping into, you know, fantasy and imagination and beauty and art. But on the other hand, sometimes it can come across as this energy around like what's real. We can also be blurring the boundaries when it comes to how much energy we're taking on from others. So we'll say that at the, you know, third cocktail lounge that you and Katie went to, you were at the bar talking for far too long with someone there who's telling you their life stories and all of their problems and all of their issues, and you were very, very invested in that scenario, and hopefully something that you said did get through to them. But you think about it the next day and you're like, gosh, now I'm like sad for this person that I don't even really know, and I still feel their energy and mine. Like definitely Neptune energy does kind of weaken our energetic bounds. So this is a big week around energy maintenance, like taking care of your energy, returning other people's energy back to them. Because sometimes with Neptune energy, we feel more drained, depleted, even sad, weepy can be Neptune energy. And sometimes it's not even ours. So that's why it's important to have energetic maintenance in order to replenish your energy, as well as just to separate, like, is this even mine, right? Waking up the next day worried about someone's problems and you realize, oh, that was the person at the bar that I was like having this deep conversation with. That was not mine to carry. Like, we can be empathetic, compassionate, generous souls without taking things on and taking it on personally, because Neptune is the planet that has to deal with oceans, the sea, like, you know, water. And so we need filtration systems when we have Neptune energy, because it's beautiful to absorb, you know, the pain or the suffering, or have compassion and empathy for what other people are walking through. But if you're not filtering your own water, you're going to wonder why your water is so muddy, because you're just holding on to it and not filtering it out. And then our water that we pour into people, well, it's not able to be as renewing or healing as it would be if we were, you know, pouring into ourselves, filtering our own water. That's when we are able to pour the most into other people and be empathetic and be compassionate. So we will absolutely talk about energetic maintenance tips this week, because that's also going to be important. And then the part within the vibe check around having to get to work. Of course, that's the energy of the sun entering Capricorn. And listen, there's so much more to the energy of Capricorn beyond what we all think of around like CEO, boss. That's always what people think of when they think of Capricorn. It's such a multifaceted sign. I don't mean to be reductive by saying, oh, we're getting to work, Capricorn season. But just within the vibe check, that's why there was that energy around, oh, now I have to deal with my responsibilities and life just keeps going on. It won't pause for my pounding headache and my feeling of shame as I look at my bank account and my regret that I left my cute leather jacket back at the bar. No, life doesn't stop for any of that. It just keeps going on. It just keeps going on. And it's so funny because I've been hearing a lot in consultations with you guys, and I've seen some comments around it as well, of individuals saying, Haley, the vibe check literally happened to me. Like that exact situation played out within my world. And I'm always so shook when I hear that. And now I'm a little shook because this really happened to me. And I did not, pinky promise, wouldn't lie to you, especially not when we're this close. But this was already going to be the vibe check. Like this was going to be the vibe check. This was the vibe check that I talked about in that earlier take where my microphone puttered out, so that footage was unusable. And like I was telling you, within the Cosmic Cafe vent sesh, I was in a rush that day because my friends were coming over because one of my besties is in town from Wisconsin. And of course, I already knew that. So I was like, oh, that's nice. Like a little vibe check synchronicity within my own world. But what I did not anticipate is that that is how the evening unfolded to a T. To a T. And that was last night. So I just need to say it. I'm just keeping it real with you guys. I'm not feeling great. I'm not feeling great. I typically do not indulge to that level. I was just so enjoying being in her presence and catching up. She's just the most fun, just silliest, brightest individual. I adore her friendship so much. And so I just feel like being in her presence, I just wanted to stay out with her and just dance with her and have fun with her. And yeah, minding of boundaries, not many. And then I had to get up and film Magic Monday with this tiny mic. I mean, that wasn't in the vibe check, but just needed to share that this is the vibe check this week and I'm already living in that vibe check. This is the manifestation of the vibe check. So I apologize if I'm being a little loopy, being a little silly. I am not firing on all cylinders this morning. And in the interest of time and getting this up as soon as possible, because I am literally recording after the time that typically Magic Monday goes live, I am trying to do as little editing as possible. So it might be a little bit more, but let's just all have a collective celebration that somehow, some way, by the grace of God, by a Christmas miracle, this is on youtube.com. They said I couldn't do it, and I did. Just kidding. No one said I couldn't do it. Just my mic said I couldn't do it. Okay, let's get into the astrology for Monday, December 16th. So happy Monday. Welcome to your forecast for Monday, December 16th. I do want to let you know that you may still be feeling a bit of a full moon hangover, so to speak. Some of us, I won't say who, are experiencing a real one of those, but we all could be feeling a little bit more of a emotional hangover, a little bit more of even like an energy hangover, just feeling a little bit more drained, a little bit more tired. Full moons tend to be very busy times of culminations, of big emotions, and a lot of times there is a little bit of a recovery period. So I'd say give yourself some grace on Monday, especially the moon's in Cancer all day. So your emotions could be deep and strong and fluctuating, and it's important to nourish them as they come up. Like if you yourself have to have a meltdown because you can't get the battery out of your microphone, if you need to have a meltdown because you drove all this way just to find that the Christmas present that you're going to pick up isn't available at this particular location. Like sometimes these small inconveniences, when it's on top of just overall stress that we are moving through, sometimes those little events are just what kind of break us in that moment, and we just need that moment to cry. It can be very, very cathartic. So if you do have one of those moments where you're like really like this on top of everything else, I would encourage you with the Cancer moon. You don't have to necessarily cry, but I would say nurture yourself. Don't make yourself feel bad or wrong or too sensitive or anything of that nature. It is a week in which we are feeling more sensitive. We've got the square to Neptune. And I think the reason why there's this like kind of altruistic, selfless energy in the air is because when we are sensitive, we are more tuned into the struggles that other people go through. And we want to, help or pour in or buy, people next to us dinner or what have you, because we are more sensitive to it. I know my fellow sensitive baddies out there, it's not easy feeling everything so very deeply, but I will say it is a blessing and a gift. It's important to chisel this gift, refine this gift. Do not let this gift consume you, consume your life. That's where energy maintenance and sensitivity maintenance gets very important. But it is important to know that it is a beautiful quality to be able to have empathy for other people's, suffering. We're all going through something. Like every single human on this planet is going through something. So looking out at life and seeing how is it that I can, make someone's day, or how is it that I can cheer someone up, or how is it that I can help in the ways that I am able to. Like those little demonstrations of kindness and compassion can make such a difference. And I feel particularly when it comes to this Neptune energy, sometimes like when we're moving through something, it really deepens our capacity to care to others, because there's an energy around, we know what that feels like. And once you have a lived experience, there's nothing that could replicate that. Like, you could read all the books about a certain experience, you could talk to people who've had a certain experience, you could watch movies about people who've seen a certain experience, but you don't really know all of the different layers of emotion and all of the different ways that that affects a human until you've gone through it personally. And that perspective isn't always available when we're in the thick of it, when we're in the hurt of it, when we're in the mess of it. But with time, we do see how we have this earned empathy because of that particular experience, and it helps us understand other humans. And if there were certain situations that maybe earlier we would judge about, once you've gone through it, you hold other people who are moving through that with a lot more compassion. And it makes you want to help because you know what that feels like, and you know how people in those certain situations need to be wrapped up with, compassion and care and even resources, depending on what it is, because you know what you needed within that moment. It's like wanting to be this vessel of giving to other people in a place that you were once previously. And of course, you can share even if you have different life experiences, but I think there's a particular potency, particularly when it comes to empathy and understanding human nature, when you have gone through something yourself and you are able to connect or share or have compassion or understanding for people moving through certain situations. Like, I can definitely say I would not be the astrologer that I am had I not gone through certain things, because I connect a lot of times with my clients. Like, I get it. I haven't gone through like everything, every life experience, but I will say a lot of the people that I work with or even are drawn to my YouTube channel, I feel like a lot of us have had similar life experiences, and it just helps for us to not feel so alone, because like pain, suffering, feeling something deeply can feel very isolating. So it's helpful to know that there's other humans who have been through not the exact same thing, but something similar. And to also see, if you're out of the thick, if you're out of the mess, if you're out of the pain, to see how it is that you can be the vessel for what you needed at that time. Like, be this lighthouse for other people moving through the dark that you needed when you were moving through the dark. I've shared a bit about how 2024 was truly the biggest year of growth I've ever experienced in my life. It was also the biggest year of pain I had ever experienced in my life. I think those themes can be synonymous. I am of the belief that it's possible to grow through joy, but I do think a lot of times when we move through something very painful, a lot of times it makes us reach for tools that we hadn't prior. It makes us look at ourselves in new ways. It makes us tap into new elements of ourselves, because it is so profoundly uncomfortable of an experience to go through. And I really love where it is that I am now at the end of the year. Even though, like I said, it was painful, it was not good. We could say that. It was not good what occurred. But I'm so grateful where it is that I'm at now, because now, even though it was so painful and it was so hard of an experience to go through, I see how that was just like the knocking over of the first domino. Like, it just set so much into motion for me around healing and around figuring out who I am and what I want, and being able to navigate my life with a lot more confidence and a lot more courage and a lot more compassion for other people as well as for myself. Like, I really like who I am on the other side of this. Like, I think it had to occur, and I also think it's just deepened my astrology, honestly. I feel like it honestly made me a better astrologer. I feel like it's helped me to have more compassion. It's made me really refine my gifts and abilities more so. Even though all of our experiences are different, I've gotten to connect with so many of you who went on something similar this year. And I'm grateful for all of the growth that took place, even though there was a lot of deep feelings, a lot of hurt, that was involved within the process. And if you're still in that space of pain, I just want to highlight there is a future version of you who has gotten to the other side and who in some way is grateful for the experience in some fashion. It's not that you're making it right. It's not that it was right how things went down, but just this energy around that experience forced me to grow. That experience forced me to get in touch with who it is that I really am. That experience forced me to have boundaries. That experience really enlivened me and awakened me. Wow, I'm yapping quite a bit today. I'm currently filming this during the Gemini full moon, so hence all of the yapping. But the reason I say this for Monday's astrology is because the moon is in Cancer all day long. It trines Saturn in the mid-morning. And so that's kind of that energy around allowing yourself to feel and to nurture and to caretake what you are feeling in that moment. And with the trine to Saturn, it helps us proceed, honestly. To me, when I was fighting for my life, trying to get the battery out of the microphone and running around, trying to get Magic Monday done, I was holding back tears because I was just already so stressed and just so pressed for time. And there's just been so much going on. And I was just trying to fight through and just bite back tears, which isn't always productive. Sometimes the best thing that we could do is just allow ourselves to pause and be like, okay, an emotion is here. Let me just really tap into it. Let me be here now. Let me not try to distract myself from it or hide it or choke back tears or swallow this lump in my throat. Let me just allow myself to have this moment. I'm frustrated. I'm sad. I'm missing this. Let me get into the space, because once we can just hold space for it, it will leave. Again, when emotions come knocking at the door, rather than keeping them out there so that they're still knocking, invite them in for a cup of tea and be like, okay, anger, sadness, why are you here? Because then they will leave. Emotions are not always the most pleasant of guests to have over to your house, but they do tend to not overstay their welcome if you just really allow them to be seen. They will be more and more obnoxious the more that you keep them outside and just banging on the door. They will get more and more obnoxious, and it won't be very productive. The moon trine Saturn, sometimes it can be productive to just allow ourselves to feel in that moment, because then we can just allow it to pass, and then rather than giving what we are doing half of our attention, we give it our full attention. Once I just allowed myself to have a wee bit of meltdown after the microphone, I was able to jump into problem solving mode, figure out how to get this new microphone, things of that nature, because I just had that moment of just feeling it rather than just suppressing it and pushing it off and what have you. And again, we're entering Capricorn season later this week. We're about our business. We're about our responsibilities. We have things that we got to get done, right? We have things that we have got to do. And life doesn't always pause when we need to, cry or have a little bit of a meltdown. But sometimes it could be helpful to just allow yourself to feel it, pause things for 5 minutes, just be in the thick of it, and it will pass. And I also think the Cancer moon trine Saturn on Monday could be an invitation to just do things that nurture you, caretake you. If you're feeling a little bit more drained from the full moon, it took a lot out of you, maybe this would be a morning to take a long bath. Or if you do have responsibilities that you're not able to push off, maybe finding the opportunity to make yourself a really nice cup of tea. Cups of tea and baths are just hugs for your soul. It makes sense, water, liquid. Water can be something that's very, very healing and renewing. And again, within astrology, water corresponds to emotions. And that's why when we have befriended every color on the spectrum in terms of our own emotions, we are more able to pour into others, to hold them with grace and compassion, to heal. It is truly a gift. There is something healing about water. It can be overwhelming at times, most certainly, to feel very deeply, but important to honor the way that it gives you the heart that you have. And it's important to filter your internal waters. So Monday would be an opportunity to do that, to do something that just caretakes for your soul, knowing that it helps you nurture and nourish and pour into others more purely and more beautifully. I do see that there can be some crabbiness or some hurt feelings in the evening time as the Cancer moon squares Chiron. So there could be an energy around feeling a little bit triggered or wounded. Again, rather than denying it or trying to bully yourself, telling yourself to toughen up, or it's so embarrassing that you're crying about this or that you're not over this or things of that nature, just be in that moment. Caretake yourself within that particular moment. Learn from what the emotions are bringing up to the surface or from where and why you are triggered. Chiron is answering to Mars, who is retrograde. So again, looking inward, even if there's minor things that trigger you, your partner did something that bothers you, there was a microphone issue that kind of triggered you. Like, again, it's so rarely about the final straw. So sometimes it's helpful to just allow ourselves to contemplate, what am I really frustrated at? What am I really mad at? Why am I feeling triggered? So on Tuesday, December 17th, we start the day with a Cancer moon trining Neptune aspect. Something to know about the Neptunian ingredient to this week's astrology is that your dreams can be quite wild or quite active. See if there's any deeper layers that you can get to with your dreams, because some dreams are random and bizarre. You might be like, I don't know what spirit's just trying to tell me with my dream that I turned into a cheetah and I was on some task to find the rest of my cheetah family. Like, some things feel very bizarre and random, like what is my subconscious doing? But sometimes it's helpful to just even take a moment around what could that possibly be signaling? Like, what did cheetahs symbolize to me? And why was I on this quest to find my family? Are there elements of my life currently where I'm craving, the courage and the speed of a cheetah? And I'm looking for people who are also on the same wavelength or vibe as me, and that's why I was in this dream looking for my cheetah family, something of that nature. Again, take that moment. Sometimes we can dismiss something and just be like, oh, it was just a crazy dream about cheetahs. But sometimes when you just even contemplate, what do cheetahs symbolize to me? And do I want to tap into my inner cheetah? Do I feel like I've found people who feel like-minded to me? Sometimes it's helpful to just let things kind of soak in around what these symbols are expressing to you within your journey. If you don't know where to start with that, you're like, Haley, comment, I don't know what toasters symbolize to me. That I like toast? I don't know. It can be helpful to have a dream dictionary, or you could just also Google the symbolism. I would have discernment, because you're going to find all sorts of things. And I feel like a tool for discernment is just even contemplating, how does this land with me? When I hear that cheetahs traditionally symbolize this and then a dream could be symbolizing this, where do I feel that come alive within my journey? Because when it comes to any sort of spiritual modality, any sort of reading that we get, discernment is so important. When it comes to my readings or any other readings that you find here on youtube.com or that you get one-to-one, it's so important to work that muscle of discernment around where does this land, where does it not, taking what works and leave the rest. Because when it comes to any sort of spiritual modality, any sort of tool, the beauty is in the reflection. We understand that these tarot cards mean this. We understand that oftentimes dreams symbolize this. But the beauty of it is when you contemplate, what is this card with its symbols bringing up for me? Or when I read that cheetah symbolize this, where do I feel this coming to the surface? That's where it's important to have discernment and have that muscle of reflection around taking what aligns and resonates and even just prompts self-reflection and leaving the rest. And so in the morning time, there could be an energy around either contemplating your dreams or just even contemplating what your intuition is pulling you or guiding you towards. That's where the beauty is. And you may be, deep in this space, a more spiritual space, a more dreamy place, a more inspired place, a more sensitive place. And Tuesday's energy might be a little floaty because of that. Because after the moon trines Neptune at 10:33 a.m., it then is void until it enters Leo around 3:30 p.m. And so when the moon is void, important tasks we must avoid. But it is argued, some astrologers believe that when the moon is dignified, void moons can actually be a beneficial thing, up to you. But what I will say is that you may feel a little bit more dreamy, a little bit in la la land. We are building to the Sun squared Neptune energy that lands early Wednesday morning. So that also could be coming into effect on your Tuesday. The moon enters Leo at 3:39 p.m., which is this energy around radiance, confidence, creativity. But because the moon opposes Pluto, you may feel like your sunshine is being a little bit siphoned with the energy of Pluto, whether it's being siphoned by worry for the future is taking away from you enjoying the now, whether it's worrying about whether a certain creative project is going to sell or how it's going to land with other people is taking away from the enjoyment of just making the thing, creating the thing, or even being around people that you love or situations that you love and fearing the worst case scenario, right? With the opposition to Pluto. Again, worrying about our future can really take away from our present, and that could be alive on Tuesday. You might also just feel like there's just situations that are siphoning your joy. In life, you could just feel like there's coworkers that are siphoning your joy, draining work situations that are siphoning your joy, errands that are siphoning your joy. There could just be an energy where you're trying to be in your sunshine and it's just feeling like it's going into a bit of a black hole. And sometimes with the energy of Pluto, it really intensifies. And so your emotions can feel a little bit more intense. You could also have some power struggles coming alive. Again, the energy is a bit softened by the Leo moon answering to the sun, who's squaring Neptune, which, like I said, tends to be a time that we're a little bit more able to put our pride to the side. But you could feel dimensions on Tuesday around you having to be the bigger person in a certain frustrating situation, or someone being stubborn, overbearing, domineering, something of that nature. The moon also is building to align with Mars very early the following day. And so that can also add to this kind of tense Pluto energy, as well as you might have a hard time Pluto energy. You might feel a little mad. You also might feel like you might feel a little mad. You also might have a hard time sleeping. So on Wednesday, December 18th, this is when Sun squares Neptune. Now, I want to let you know that the Neptune ingredient in this week's recipe may be a little overpowering. Like, it may overpower some of the other energies, because Neptune aspects have this tendency to kind of bleed. Like I said, the very nature of Neptune is dissolving boundaries. It makes things a little bit more blurry, and it kind of just makes the energy a little less concentrated to just the time that we're experiencing it. Some astrologers will literally use a wider orb for Neptune aspects for that reason. But what I will let you know is that with the energy of Sun square Neptune, there can be this desire to want to, escape from life, run from life. Sagittarius season, right? The very end of Sagittarius season, which ultimately is a time in which we want adventure, we want new experiences, we want to expand our horizons. And life can be a little mundane sometimes. It can be a little dreary. And with the energy of the Sagittarius Sun square Neptune, it's kind of like this energy around giving yourself that desire to transcend reality, maybe just in a smaller way. Not running away from your life altogether, but again, when we're out on the town with Katie, it feels like real life doesn't exist, right? When you're out looking at Christmas lights with your little ones, like, it feels like reality doesn't exist. Like when you're in beautiful nature or at a museum or something of that nature, it feels like reality doesn't exist. And that could be so helpful for the soul to just take a little break from things, not always like an escapist running from our problems type way, but just an energy around, life is heavy, it's dense, it's nice to get lost in another world every so often if you need a little bit of vacation of reality from yours. I think ultimately the goal is creating a life that you don't need to escape from, but regardless, even if in many ways you feel as though you're living your dream life, things are a lot, and those experiences are truly something that can help in filtering our water. Sometimes self-care is that Cancer moon energy that we experienced earlier this week around hot baths and cups of tea and listening to music and crying if we need to and cuddling our cat. Like, sometimes that's what self-care looks like. Sometimes self-care is yapping with your bestie out in the town until 2 a.m. Was that the most compassionate and loving thing that you could do for your body? No, likely within the vibe check. And certainly for me last night, I could have benefited with more water, more sleep. Moderation is a good thing. I'm not saying we need nights like that in order to have self-care, but I think experiences like that can pour into you in a different way. Like for me, like I shared, I've been just working nonstop. So I think having a night to have a break from reality and just dance and giggle, like it did pour into me. Even though I'm exhausted and I'm drained, I'm not feeling too well, I will say I had more of a skip in my step today because I had a little bit of a vacation from reality. And that looks different for each and every one of us. We don't need to go to the extreme, right? I certainly didn't need to go to the extreme. But I think there is an energy with Venus trine Jupiter this week around, a wee bit of indulgence is okay. It's what makes life worth living. Maybe for you that looks like a delicious slice of cheesecake. Like, is it technically healthy for you? No. But if you really sit there and enjoy it, those sweet moments are what make this experience worth living. Should we have cheesecake for every meal? Should we have nights out like that with Katie every single week? No, probably not. But in moderation, these small indulgences, can pour into us in a different way. And again, with Mars retrograde, I would just encourage you not to beat yourself up, not to be hard on yourself. As we're being compassionate and pouring into others, remember to pour into yourself. Have grace and compassion for yourself. And like I was highlighting earlier, Neptune can kind of weaken our energetic bounds quite a bit. And so this week it's going to be important to really have your rituals, your practices that help you anchor and ground down into your energy. Because everybody, whether or not you consider yourself an intuitive person, we are all intuitive and we have psychic antenna. We are constantly picking up signals. And that's why it's important to check in every so often and be like, is this mine? That's the first thing that I like to utilize for energetic maintenance, is when I get hit with an overwhelming emotion that feels like it came out of nowhere. Sometimes just checking in, not ignoring it, again, checking in and being like, okay, I'm feeling this thing. I don't know why I'm feeling this. Sometimes asking, is this mine? Sometimes you'll get an answer and you can then return it to sender. I will decree my energy is mine, yours is yours, return to sender. And just like see it being pushed out of your energy. There have been times that I've been sobbing, literally crying hysterically. I ask, is it mine? I return it back, and then all of a sudden it's like a weight lifted and I don't feel sad whatsoever. It's the craziest thing. And so I would deeply encourage you to do that. Sometimes it is ours and it's our job to process and caretake for ourselves in that moment. But with Neptune energy, we're just energetic and intuitive sponges this week. So it's going to be important to return energy to sender that's not ours. We could have picked up people's energy at work. We could pick up people's energy when they're throwing us a lot of mental energy, thinking about us a lot or something of that nature. Return it to sender. Return it to sender. I also love to have rituals in the morning time and in the evening time that help to do the same thing. So you can always just visualize yourself in a protective ball of white light and just kind of just visualize anything that bounces off of it just being reflected from you. You guys know I'm big on using shiny things, lip gloss, and jewelry is also good to bounce people's energy off of you. And I also love every so often picturing myself calling my energy back. Like if there's little pieces of you that you leave in certain situations or places where people have latched onto your energy or things of that nature, it's helpful to call back any energy that's like floating out in the world. Call it back to you. You will feel more energized, and at the same time return energy that's like in your aura, in your space, back to sender. So just picture that pure ball of light and just see anything that you just can feel heavy or dense or doesn't feel like yours. You could just picture that being sent out and your energy coming back in. And I know this sounds out there if this isn't something that you typically utilize, but I'm telling you, this works. These are just a couple of examples. I know some people will take baths and showers that helps them reset, or have certain rituals that helps them reset and cleanse energy. It doesn't matter the actual modalities, but I love the visualization exercises because you can do that when you're anywhere, and I'm telling you, it really does work. If you are sensitive, you must learn how to fine tune it, refine it, because it can be a gift, but like I said, it can also be our downfall, because if we've been absorbing too much of people's stuff, so much so that our own waters are muddy, that's when we can behave in ways that we are not proud of. We can be more apt to lash out because we have so much resentment, because we have taken on so much of people's stuff. We can feel like a martyr. We can feel like a victim. I mean, that could be alive with Neptune energy. Sometimes Neptune energy just makes us feel a little bit more defeated by life. It can make us feel a little bit more like, what's the point? And so I think the invitation with this energy happening midweek is really have experiences, especially if you're in that more kind of dreary, weepy energy, have experiences that return you to what life is all about, which is around connection, which is around having fun, which is around giving back. Certainly, we all have different purposes and callings, but it's nice to have disruptions from the routine that help us tune into the bigger picture around what really makes life worth living. And this can also be a very spiritual time. So I would meditate, take a yoga class, do something that pours into your soul space in that way. I would also highlight this can be a very inspired day, especially when we get into our lunar story, because the Leo moon trines Mercury in Sagittarius, who's now direct, hooray. And so the energy of Leo ultimately is around wanting to shine, wanting to create. And again, it's ruling to the moon squaring Neptune, which can be downloading, channeling energy. And so you can find that you are inspired today around tapping into universal source energy through creating. Again, sometimes we have to get out of our own way in order to be that conduit or in order to be that vessel. Like I know within my readings, whenever I get in my own head around, oh my God, am I talking too much? Or am I coming off like this, that, or the third? It like stops the stream of just being able to download and flow with what's moving through. And that could also happen with your art. You're writing something, you're like, is that too much? Or will this manuscript sell? Or things of that nature. It gets in the way of it just like flowing through you and from you. And really the universe kind of like using you, not in a bad way, but using you as a conduit to put beauty and creativity out into the world. And so maybe that's how you're getting lost today, is you're just getting lost in a creative project. It feels good to create, it feels soulful to create. I think it's a very spiritual experience when you are in a creative flow, which many of you could find on Wednesday with Leo moon trine Mercury. Certainly it could be, writing, it could be illuminating conversations, communication coming in, and also it can feel expansive with the Leo moon sextiling Jupiter that evening as well. I will say the Leo moon opposes Venus in Aquarius around 4 p.m., which can be a little bit of an energy around potential people pleasing or wanting to appease people or appease situations. There can also be an energy around seeking to emotionally soothe and nurture yourself via sweets, or via shopping. The spirit of excess is alive with Venus trine Jupiter for sure. Random, but Wednesday or Thursday would also be really lovely days to bake something. Really lovely days to bake some holiday cookies or something of that nature. You might eat too many of them. Let's be real. Venus is trining Jupiter. Jupiter doesn't always know limits, but you will enjoy it and it will feel good. Again, that's also a form of creativity. Like, don't allow your scope of creativity to feel limited to just painting and poetry. Like, how you live your life is creative. How you decorate your home is creative. How you adorn yourself is creative. How you bake cookies is creative. Life itself is a process of co-creation. So see yourself as a creative person. Find ways to infuse your Wednesday with a little bit more beauty, with a little bit more light, with a little bit of creativity. So on Thursday, December 19th at 6:11 p.m., Venus in Aquarius will trine Jupiter in Gemini. This is a time in which we are open to the sweetness of life. And I would really encourage you to open your heart to connection this week. Again, with Sun square Neptune, we are a little bit more in tune with empathy and compassion. And there is an energy around wanting to give back, to really pour into our community, to pour into our networks, to pour into who we care about, the humans that we care about, truly. And there's an ask to really be in the moments as they are unfolding. I know Neptune energy can make things a little murky. We could be losing track of time and just feeling a little bit more sluggish. But I would say a gift of Neptune energy is that it governs screens, mirrors, cameras. And so also just seeing where it is that you can snapshot the moment or like memorialize the moment or just be in the moment as it's unfolding. Because so often, we are eating our breakfast, but we're thinking about the next cup of coffee that we're going to make. We are drinking our cup of coffee and we are thinking about our next meeting. We are at this meeting and looking forward to getting home at 5 p.m. and we get home and we're thinking about the next thing. Like, we're so in the next moment that we're not even here for this one. And I would say the energy of Venus trine Jupiter, we're soaking in the beauty, and with Neptune, we're just really wanting to like snapshot and be in the moment, like as it's happening, rather than getting to that space around either prematurely grieving the moment, around thinking about, gosh, like Katie's gonna go back to her hometown, like this night's not gonna last forever. Like sometimes that can take away from enjoyment of our present, or just being in the next moment around, oh, I have to work tomorrow. Again, tomorrow is going to tomorrow when it's time to tomorrow. Sometimes it's just important to enjoy today. Like certainly the energy of Capricorn sun, it's nice to plan for tomorrow, but we never live in tomorrow. We only live in today. So it's like building for tomorrow while also taking time to enjoy today. But heavy on the enjoyment today is what I would say in regards to Thursday's astrology with Venus trine Jupiter. Great date night. Great time to be open to meeting somebody new if you want. Have a friend set you up with someone with the energy of Venus and Aquarius. Use technology to find love, to open your heart to love. Again, doing like heart chakra work. Having a healthy heart chakra, not overactive, not underactive, but a healthy heart chakra is the best way to magnetize love to you. And I would say with the energy of Venus trine Jupiter, strive to make people feel seen. Like I said, there is a spirit of generosity, and I'm not saying overgive, but we oftentimes are so absorbed in our own stuff that we forget to really see people and to really see where it is that we can pour into them, whether it's being generous with our knowledge, whether it's being generous with our time, whether it's being generous with our resources. It feels good to give. The universe serves those who serve others. Truly, I'm a true proponent of that. And so with the energy of Venus trine Jupiter, give what you want to experience. And I'm not saying that in like a Delulu sense, because listen, we've got Sun square Neptune energy. I'm not saying that you should go millions of dollars in debt if you want to attract $1 million. But I'm saying if you want to experience more compassion, strive to embody that compassion for others. If you're not feeling seen, really strive to make somebody else feel seen. I am a believer that what it is that we put out into the world comes back to us. So really be intentional with what you want to put out there. And with the energy of Venus also being money, you know, with Venus trine Jupiter, we could be holiday shopping. Great day for that, honestly. You might spend a little much, I'll say that, but you're going to find some really unique finds with Venus and Aquarius. Like definitely have some conversation starters. Even like funny gifts could be something that you find with this energy. Also, Venus has to deal with pleasure of all sorts, sweetness of all sorts. So again, great baking day, great decorating day, great day to really indulge in the beauty around you, as well as the beauty within you. Again, if you want to feel more beautiful, see more beauty in others. And I feel that there's also something around being charmed by life with the energy of Venus trine Jupiter, just finding ways to make life a little bit more charming. Because, you know, sometimes we have these nights out with Katie that are a little much, right? But so much of our life is in the drinking of the coffee and the starting of the meeting. It's all in these mundane aspects. So with Venus trine Jupiter can also be seeing where it is that you could be, you know, charmed by life, where it is that you can focus on the good in others. Venus is also beauty. So this would be a great day for your hair appointments, for your nail appointments, something of that energy, you know, enjoying the fruits of your labor, so to speak, the sweetness of life with the energy of Venus. The moon is in Leo for a majority of the day. And so the moon trines Chiron around 2:44 a.m., which is this healing flow of energy. The moon squares Uranus at noon, which can affect our focus. We can feel a little bit more restless. We can feel a little bit more scattered. You know, we are still in the orb of the Sun square Neptune energy. So you could be a little bit lost in your own world and then have moments where you're jolted back into reality. Like, wait, what am I supposed to be doing right now? Like having to jolt yourself out of some romantic scenario that you've dreamed up about your gym crush and be like, wait, am I doing legs today? Like you might need to like kind of snap yourself back into reality around, okay, what am I doing? And with the energy of Leo moon square Uranus, you might feel a little rebellious. You know, I think parts of that night out with Katie, my night out with my friends last night, sometimes if we are never giving ourselves moments to like enjoy and savor the sweetness of this experience, if your life has felt very like one task after the other, sometimes when we grab holds or we get those like small moments of freedom, sometimes we do go to excess, right? So if we live in, you know, scarcity or deprivation, like the moment that we allow ourselves to eat a little bit of cheesecake, we want to eat the entire thing, right? We almost like gorge ourselves or go to excess with things if we are operating from a very, controlled standpoint and never giving ourselves these small moments to savor and to enjoy around, striving to eat healthy a majority of the time. But if you are craving something particular, allowing yourself to enjoy it without guilt. It helps us not live in these extremes when we take time to enjoy and savor. And we feel less apt to, rebel from life around, it's a night on the town, I'm off, I'm going in, I'm having fun. Like I said, my life has been so like film, edit, record, like not a whole lot of leaving from my home has occurred in December. So I think just having that momentary, taste of freedom out in the town around getting to, have some fun with my friends, I think that's what also caused that. So you might experience that as well. And with Venus trine Jupiter, just kind of wanting to rebel from your responsibilities. I don't know. Some people could be playing hooky from work, or you put that you're busy on your shared work calendar, but you're actually online shopping for gifts. Like, small rebellions could be alive here. And then that evening, the Leo moon trines the Sagittarius sun. So just a lot of good energy, especially with Venus trine Jupiter. Have a date night, make a delicious meal, bake something delightful, go on some sort of adventure, explore. Life is for the living, after all. The moon after that trine is void. The moon after that trine is void until it enters Virgo at 11:47 p.m. So, let Capricorn season and the Virgo moon handle the meal prepping and the tasks and the responsibilities. Sometimes we just need days for enjoying and having some fun. So on Friday, December 20th, the moon is in Virgo all day long. And again, the further and further we get from Wednesday, the more that this kind of Neptune fog is going to lift. And so you could have an energy on Friday where you realize like, oh my gosh, there's only like 10 days left of the year and I have to hit this sales quota, or oh my goodness, I need to do laundry. Like there just could be this energy around you kind of were in a fog or a funk midweek. And then with the energy of the Virgo moon, again, a snapping out of this Neptune energy more and more so, there could be this energy around, gosh, I need to do laundry. I need to finish this proposal for work. I need to go grocery shopping and I need to figure out what happened to my grandma's present that got lost in the mail that I ordered. Like there just could be an energy where there's a lot to get done and they all need to get done now. Could be the vibe. And this is accentuated by the Virgo moon squaring off with its ruler Mercury at 3:46 p.m., which could have us feeling a little frazzled, a little all over the place. There can be an energy around analysis paralysis, around should I do laundry and then go to the store? Should I contact where I bought my grandma's present from and then get my dog food? Like there just could be an energy around thinking about all the things that you have to get done, but feeling very frazzled around how to do them or even the order to do them, or even being bugged by other people. Like you're in a work project and coworkers keep popping in. Like there's all of these distractions could be alive in your world on Friday, which might lead to feeling a little bit more stressed or anxious or even neurotic. Sometimes can be a Virgo energy. And I just want to remind you, done is better than perfect. Done is better than perfect. Again, if we put too much energy around worrying about all of the details, which Virgo moon is apt to do, a lot of times we can get stuck in either analysis paralysis around everything needs to be perfect. And then we can procrastinate and put something off because it's not perfect, it's not perfect, it's not perfect. Done is better than perfect. Allow this week's Magic Monday to be a reminder of that. I'm sitting here way too close for comfort with a really short mic, hair in a messy bun, exhausted, but done is better than perfect. It's better for this to be out in the world rather than just taking up space on my computer because it's not perfect. Or something of that nature. Saturday, December 21st, happy solstice, happy Yule, and happy Capricorn season. So the sun enters Capricorn very early in the day on Saturday, signaling the season of the goats, the sea goats, technically, Capricorns. I just want to take this opportunity to tell you how much I adore you. Thank you so much for always giving us the healthy, compassionate, but healthy reality check that we need every so often. Thank you for showing your compassion in such grounding, stabilizing ways. Thank you for continually inspiring us all to elevate our standards around what it is that we expect from ourselves, what it is that we expect from life. Thank you for your wry sense of humor. We adore you, and I hope that you enjoy your season. I do want to highlight that solstice is a time that does speak of extremes. You know, in some places around the globe, there's a lot of light and minimal darkness. In other places in the globe, there's a lot of darkness and minimal. And these contrasts can bring clarity if we allow ourselves to sit in the dark, see what the dark has to teach us and to show us and to be there. And I would encourage you, I mean, Mars retrograde is a nudge to do this. Solstice is a nudge to do this. It's okay to go slow. It's okay if you're craving more rest. You know, we have seasons for a reason. It can be so helpful for integrating and being able to prepare for rebirth, for, you know, new things, for new life. You know, the trees need to drop all of their leaves in order to, you know, grow again. And so you could also feel its energy around needing to process, needing to release, needing to integrate, needing to heal, needing to come inward. And the solstice is a nudge to do just that. And I know this feels very different than our typical understanding of Capricorn season, where it's like hustle, grind. Like you can still hustle and grind and be gentle and loving and compassionate and reflective with yourself. And I don't feel, like I stated earlier, that saying that Capricorn's all about hustle and grind is a very comprehensive way to view this energy. It's simply around wanting to make use of the resources that you have, the talents that you have, and do the best with what it is that you have, and to build in directions that you want to succeed in or that you want to ascend to, having your goals, having your visions for what it is that you desire for your future, and ensuring that you're building momentum towards that. And again, it truly is a marathon. It's not a sprint. We're entering a Saturn season, and rest is part of the equation of success. Rest is part of the equation to success. And on that note, you know, the moon's in Virgo all day long, and the Virgo moon is kicking up this building Jupiter square aspect that exacts next week, second time. Just a heads up, I did do a video on that particular aspect so you can see which areas of your chart are being lit up by this tension. But the energy of Jupiter is around growth and expansiveness, and Saturn is around restriction. And it's just a reminder that any sort of big metric that we want in our life, any sort of big result that we want in our life requires Saturn. It requires structure, it requires discipline, it requires thinking long term and thinking sustainably. Again, we cannot exist just in one season. Can't be summer all of the time. No plant blooms 365 days a year. That's just not the reality. Listen, it's Capricorn season. We're out of the delulu with the sun square Neptune energy, and it's like crash landing back to reality. Like the reality of this experience is that we have limits. You know, our bodies have physical limits around how much they can endure. Our time has limits around how much we can take on our plate. Sometimes in order to grow Jupiter, we do need to address the reality of the situation. To build a building, you need to create the structure in order to reach those heights. And so the Virgo moon is kicking up that story by opposing Saturn and squaring Jupiter earlier in the day. And so there can be an energy around, of course, with Virgo moon, it's around the tasks and the errands and the mundane aspects of our life, seeing how these are growing in a particular direction, seeing how these things, while they might feel limiting, like, oh, must I do laundry? Must I get the dog food? It's leading to those big results, those big metrics, that big vision of our life that we are hoping to arrive to. And then that evening, the Virgo moon trines Uranus and Taurus. So yes, Virgo energy, typically pretty methodical, pretty ritualistic, but with the Virgo moon trining Uranus, you might be open to doing something new, trying something new, trying some new sort of workout, something of that nature. So on Sunday, December 22nd, I want to let you know firstly that we have a last quarter moon in Libra. So Sun in Capricorn, moon in Libra. This is essentially check-in point from last week's Gemini full moon, which again, I would love to hear everybody's experience with that. Maybe part of the reason I'm so silly today is because I'm filming this currently during the Gemini full moon, but I would love to hear how it came up for you. Was it hectic? Was it chaotic? Was it busy? I would love to know. You know, Gemini energy can make us very curious, so I'm very curious to know. And the energy of the last quarter moon, it could be this energy of, you know, releasing whatever may have came up that's been throwing you off balance. Energy of the full moon, it could be very busy, very hectic, very all over the place. And the energy of last quarter moon could be around, you know, what is causing me to feel more imbalanced, or where does my life feel not balanced and where can I rectify that? Because again, we're striving for moderation. Like sometimes we have nights like we did with Katie, but ultimately we're always striving for moderation. We're striving for balance. And that's a really important ingredient in the recipe for success, truly, is balance. And with the energy of Libra, it's also, you know, celebrating the balance within our connections. It's really prioritizing connection. And so that energy aligns today. Sometimes with last quarter moons, it is a crisis moon phase. So some of you could be feeling a crisis of sorts. Again, it doesn't need to be dramatic. It could just be this energy around you are realizing, oh my goodness, I have like 20 presents to go buy today and all of the stores are crazy. Like things could just feel a little hectic. Also, when it comes to the last quarter moon, it's technically the crisis of spirit lunar phase. So also just could be an energy around, you know, reflections, contemplating what may have came up during the full moon, what you're releasing in order to carve space for the Capricorn new moon. Or story, the moon starts off the day in Virgo, opposes Neptune. So again, dreams could be a little interesting. You may feel a little bit more, you know, lazy, lethargic in the morning time, kind of in your own world. The moon's void from 5:27 until it enters Libra at 11:08. The Libra moon does trine Pluto. So again, that could be a power source, is connecting to those that we love, like spending quality time. There's such a difference between spending time with people, think about the next thing that you have to do, and or like really striving to be present, spend time. That can regenerate your energy stores, just really being in that experience. And then the Libra moon will sextile Mars in Leo that evening, which can be a little fun. We're in the mood to, you know, connect and be generous and live from our heart and what have you. So my loves, that is our week. The Magic Monday mantra of the week is I savor the sweetness. Again, life serves us up some bitter meals sometimes, but every so often, and this week is an example of it, you get served a delightful cheesecake. You get served a delightful souffle. And even if you are given something sweet, sometimes we can poison it around either, oh, I'm gonna so regret this tomorrow, or having guilt, or thinking about should I be doing A, B, or C, or things of that nature. Be present for the sweetness that is alive and really tune into it. Really taste the flavors on your tongue. Really see the beauty of the cheesecake before you eat it. That enhances our capacity to appreciate and enjoy life the more that we dial into the subtleties and all the nuances of that particular experience. And again, I'm not saying everybody needs to be eating cheesecakes and souffles this week, but if it's a crisp, snowy morning and you're walking around with a hot cup of coffee and you can see your breath and there's such a charming feeling in the air, savor it. What do you notice? What do you hear? What do you smell? Again, life can give us the ingredients for sweetness, but it's up to us to really savor it, because you could either appreciate the sweetness of that snowy early morning walk, romanticizing it, or you could just be so busy thinking about, oh, I have to get to work, and you're more so focused on the gross slushy part of the snow, and you're honing in on how cold you are, and you just want to get to your next destination. Again, perspective is so important, and this week it's asking us to really nourish the perspective around appreciating the sweetness in your life, however it shows up, whether that's by way of connections, whether that's by way of beauty within your life, whether that's by way of pleasure and appreciation. Really savor the sweetness this week. So my loves, if you made it to the end of the video, go ahead and comment below the cheetah emoji or use the word cheetah within a sentence. So I know that you made it to the end. Another Christmas miracle. I know that this video was a little bit more flowy, ungrounded, unstructured, and I would love to know feedback. Like, do you prefer being a little bit closer to me? So it's too much intimacy. This is too much. Do you prefer the more unstructured, flowy forecast rather than the more tightly edited version that I typically do? I would love to know. My Instagram handle is @HaleyCommentAstrology. My TikTok is the same. I'd love to connect with you over there as well as below. I always read your comments. They're such a highlight of my week. Talk about savoring the sweetness. I am savoring the sweetness of this community with Venus in Aquarius also. I know some of you, this is part of your routine, so I really worked as hard as I possibly could to get this forecast out into the world despite all of the trials and tribulations. But I'll see you again, same time, same place next week. But until then, drink lots of water and stay cosmic.